Joining me on the RedTech Briefing today is Steve Shultis. He's the CTO at New York Public Radio, at the forefront of using technology to sustain the relevance of audio, whether through a signal via terrestrial transmitters, what we call radio, or IP distribution, harnessing all the advantages offered by the internet, reaching listeners on a myriad of new connected devices. Steve is also one of the 3 expert facilitators for the RedTech Summit's Technology Day on the 3rd of June in Paris. Delighted to have you on this briefing, Steve. Thank you.
Good morning, Omar. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good on this side.
Good.
So as you know, we've been spending months on this together with you. We've invited and got 25 C-suite executives sitting on various roundtables in a very intimate setting, in a very small room. And the big issue is engaging with the challenges of scaling their businesses online, meaningfully growing audiences and revenue online. Because they're all, most of them, a lot of their teams are FM experienced. Some of this is new for them. They feel that they've been doing this incrementally in terms of their digital strategy. And they know that they don't have enough time to keep, I guess the word might be, waffling around. They've got to do something meaningful. And that's why we're having this summit. This is what the workshop's about. Now, the interesting thing, you're looking after Technology Day too. And when I was speaking to the CEOs, the CTOs are all very comfortable. The CDOs are also very comfortable. When I was speaking to the CEOs about the event, many of them said, right, okay, I'll attend day 1, the strategy day, and then I'm off. And that doesn't sound right.
Off to see Paris, right? Yeah.
Sure. Doesn't make sense, does it?
No. The day 2, and hats off to you. This is a very intriguing conference. I can't say I've seen one like this before. So really innovative, and to kind of really, it matches, I think, the need of our businesses today, because there's so many things changing, and not to mention the elephant in the room, I think, is the global pandemic. We're going to talk about that too. But no, everything sort of comes together in my mind on day 2, not just because I'm a technologist, but because we're talking about cross-platform distribution. We're talking about the car dashboard. We're talking about keeping and growing our audiences in today's world of a vastly disintegrated audience. And how do you hold that audience? How do you grow it? How do you measure it? All these things the CEOs really need to be involved with in these decisions, and work very closely with their technical counterparts to basically lead that discussion. Because they need to see the measurement of all this. They need to reach the audience that's out there, and then as I kind of teased about the global pandemic, we need to evolve for the future. What do they're in charge of their infrastructure, their facility, their real estate deals. I mean, do they start? Is it time to start making lease adjustments or ownership adjustments to our facilities, to downsize? We're going to look very closely at what does it mean to have a hybrid workforce? What are the benefits? What are the detriments? I'm really excited to talk about, like, if there's so much capital that goes into your real estate costs. What if that didn't exist anymore? What would you put it into? Would you put it into your talent? Would you put it into growing your talent? By talent, I mean not just hosts, but sound designers and researchers and journalists, making your content so incredible, both informational and sonically, that the audience growth would just come. So these are the things that I want to uncover and really discuss in these roundtables.
Steve, you're almost saying that it's about perhaps some level of reinvention. Because it was never, this medium that we love so much, that we're all part of, was never considered something where you'd have some of the talent, on-air talent, working from their home for a significant amount of time. A pandemic was never in the vision, anybody's design of how this should be. And like you say, some of what we've learned as a result of what we've been through over the last 2 years, and perhaps in some places still going through, really allows us to reimagine a future differently. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. And this, I also, this is going to get into a kind of a hopefully kind of an uncomfortable discussion, because I want to hear, but in an intriguing way, of course. But I want to talk about this. We're building studios and things like that. But I really want to kind of lift up the carpet on these. Do we really need studios anymore? What does the new talent require? Are we just kind of fostering studios because it may be a legacy emotion to what we all kind of grew up with, and we think that's what really attracts talent? But TikTok stars don't need studios anymore. All they need is a phone, and off they go. What can we learn from that, if anything? And then also, what if we were kind of building radio brand new today? How would we build it? First thing that comes to mind is two-way communication. Look, I mentioned the TikTok stars. It's all about two-way feedback and everything like this. It's not just about call-in radio shows anymore. How can we learn from that and basically grow our content? And let's just kind of open it wide up. If we were building it today, how would we do it? What are the priorities that we need to compete?
That's an incredibly exciting question. So one of the key objectives, and we said so from the beginning when we were designing this particular summit, and I want to remind people that are watching this who can't be there, that very different from other events they might have attended, this is not people standing in front delivering the tablet with the 10 laws like Moses did. This is an opportunity for C-suite executives with different experiences coming from multiple continents around the world, multiple markets, to engage with each other, facilitated by people like you, to have a conversation to understand how to manage their challenges, to give themselves the best possible advantage for the future. And so it's almost, some of it will be case study driven, because people will have examples to share with the rest of their peers. And then some of it will be almost like a workshop. Perhaps that's some part of the word of what it is. So it's a bit of a mix of these things, which is pretty exciting. So when we designed it, we said C-suite should leave the event with practical, executable plans that they can take back to their home market. Now, is that a realistic goal?
I really think it is, Omar, because if you look at the people, I'm just one person on day two out of what, 2, 3, or 4 or something like that. And there are so many different aspects coming at this. I really want to see some key takeaways. We just talked about like the real estate question and things like that. Those are big questions. Where they're going to be talking about the dashboard. I'm intrinsically involved in that because, even in New York City, where a lot of people commute by train, but the average commute is 90 minutes in a car. That's a captive audience, and that's a global thing. Cars are global, right? So I've worked and I've innovated in that field with HD radio, and then we have World DAB and things like that. And these things are basically kind of like ripe for the taking. And not only do we need the actionables about the technology about how to kind of exploit that, but then we also need the buy-in from the CEOs to basically advocate for that and push these standards so that we can really have a full buy-in on the platform, so we can really get our message across. And I'll give you one just quick example. We're besides being a major broadcaster in the U.S., we also deliver millions of downloads of podcasts per month. So I'm pressing HD radio to basically and working closely with them to get our podcast delivered on the radio. So if somebody tunes into our station, I want to see our top 10 podcasts show up on the car dashboard right below that, so that after an audience member will hear the live feed for some minutes or an hour or however long, we can keep them. We can keep the audience and direct them to our other platforms, and then have that right in front of them. So these are the type of things that I think that are actionable, and these are things I think we can. There'll be many key takeaways from this summit like that.
That sounds pretty exciting. Discovery, search, recommendation engines, all of those things become part of the environment, the ecosystem that we need to be very much invested in and building. as current radio operators, which is phenomenal. Steve, thank you so much. I mean, I want to say to people who, obviously, because it's such a small event and we were only accepting 25 seats, it's not that you've missed out if you can't be there. So it's important to tell people that, because what we will do as RedTech is cover some of these takeaways that come out of some of these events and make sure they're in our newsletters afterwards. They're on the website. Although we won't be video casting the event, what we will do is make sure that we have insights that we draw on that we then publish later, website, our newsletters, and obviously in the magazines that we publish every 2 months. So Steve, I think it's going to be tremendous. It's going to be really amazing having you there. And to be honest, we can't wait. It's tremendous. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
You bet, Omar. Take care. Bye-bye.
Cheers.